Chairman, congratulations to both of you on your nomination. I just have one question for you, Ms. Monaco. Will you allow Mr. Durham to complete his work as special counsel?
Well, Senator, as you know, Mr. Durham has been allowed to stay on to pursue his work. I have no reason and nothing. I have no reason to think that that isn't the right decision. And as Deputy Attorney General, it will be my job to make sure that he has the resources to do his job, and I'm committed to doing that.
Thank you. Ms. Gupta, I'm trying to reconcile the testimony of my friends from Virginia that describe you as a consensus builder on one hand, and the almost unbroken record of partisan culture war that is your in your resume. So I just have a few questions to maybe help flesh that out a little bit. Is it true that you advocate decriminalization of all drugs?
No, Senator, I do not.
And I've had this conversation with some of my friends in law enforcement, the endorsements that you've gotten, that you've spoken of. Do you support the elimination of qualified immunity for lawsuits against the police?
Senator, I suspect that you're referring to testimony that I gave before this committee over the summer when I was representing the consensus views of the Civil Rights Coalition at the Leadership Conference. In matters of policy, if I'm confirmed as Associate Attorney General, my guide, and I know this issue and many others around police accountability, the Senate's going to be considering in the Justice and Policing Act, we will follow the President's policy agenda so long as it's consistent with the law. I have been talking a lot to law enforcement the last several months about all kinds of issues around the tension of how to ensure accountability while ensuring that law enforcement can do their jobs. And if I am confirmed as Associate Attorney General, I will continue to leverage these relationships in law enforcement to understand their perspectives. And my commitment will solely be to the Constitution and federal law. Obviously, the doctrine of qualified immunity is a judicially created doctrine and applies to many more public sector employees than simply police officers. But that will be my commitment.
Well, I heard your answer, but I didn't hear you answer the specific question. Do you support the elimination of qualified immunity for lawsuits against government employees, including police officers?
Senator, from where I sit now, today, in my personal capacity, I don't. I want to understand more the perspectives of law enforcement as well as the need, and I think we all recognize that I heard it really from every member of the committee when I testified this summer about the importance of ensuring that communities have faith that there is accountability when individual law enforcement engages in misconduct. I hear it from law enforcement as well, and I would look forward to working with law enforcement, with members of this committee as you engage these really difficult and challenging questions that we're facing as a country right now about how to ensure accountability when misconduct happens and how to ensure that law enforcement have the support they need to do their jobs.
So you no longer support the elimination of qualified immunity. Is that your testimony?
Senator, as I said, I was testifying this summer representing the views of the coalition.
My question is, do you no longer support the elimination of qualified immunity?
I will say I don't come in supporting it, elimination one way or another. My duty, if confirmed as Associate Attorney General, will be to follow the President's lead on these kinds of policy issues so long as they're consistent with the law, and to engaging and continuing to engage with civil rights leaders, community leaders, law enforcement on these very difficult questions of accountability.
Senator Grassley asked you a little bit about the diversion of funds in a judgment to non-parties, and I think you alluded to a policy memorandum authored by Attorney General Sessions on November the 7th, 2018, where he raised three constitutional concerns with regard to diversion of those funds from someone other than the victim or the U.S. Treasury. He said that supervision of the government entity subject to the decree can deprive the elected representatives of the people of the affected jurisdiction of the control of their government. Secondly, the governmental entity subject to the decree suffers significant ramifications with regard to local budget priorities, effectively taking these decisions and accountability for them away from the people's elected representative. And third, such decrees must be carefully crafted to avoid improperly depriving future officials of their designated legislative and executive powers. Do you agree with that statement?
Senator, those sound like they are statements of the law, and I would agree.
So you agree with Attorney General Sessions, and that would be the policy that you would enforce if confirmed?
Senator, if I'm confirmed, right now I'm not privy to any kind of internal information about how this policy is working, and I have to follow federal law, and that's my commitment would be to do just that.
Well, you know how it's worked in the past, where the money is diverted to, Senator Grassley mentioned some examples of lawsuits against against banks. But it was fairly common during the Obama-Holder era to divert settlement proceeds to non-parties. You're familiar with that, aren't you?
I'm familiar about the policy that you're talking about, and I think that the settlements need to make victims whole in the first instance, and I also understand very much the importance of these guardrails. I understand that was the impetus for this regulation, and as I said, if I am confirmed and settlement agreements require my approval, I will comply with that regulation.
And just to clarify my initial question about drugs, did you say in response to a questionnaire from the committee at page 1037 that you believe that states should decriminalize simple possession of all drugs, particularly marijuana, and for small amounts of other drugs?
Senator, I have advocated, as I believe President Biden has, for decriminalization of marijuana possession. I believe that substance use disorder is both an enforcement problem and a public health problem, but I do not support decriminalization of all drugs.
Thank you.
Thanks, Senator Cornyn. We're going to try Senator Leahy.
Okay, we can work